Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because, wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. Hello and welcome to What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Margaret, and today I am talking to Jessica Shaw. Jessica is an award-winning journalist and radio host whose work has appeared in the New York Times, Entertainment Weekly, Vanity Fair, and more. She's also the proud mom of 2 teens who think differently and the host of the new podcast, Everyone Gets a Juice Box, a space where parents connect over the challenges and triumphs of raising neurodivergent kids. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you, Margaret. I'm so happy to be here.
So we like to begin the podcast with a definition. So neurodivergent is a term that I don't know when it came into the lexicon, but I have a neurodivergent child myself. And we now, I feel like, are very familiar with the terms neurodivergent, neurotypical. So tell me about how you define the term neurodivergent.
As you said, this is a term that is everywhere now, and people are just like, wait, what does it actually mean? To me, I guess it means, and by the way, I'm no doctor, nor am I a dictionary writer, but it means someone who thinks a little bit differently, or who learns differently, or whose brain works in a slightly or very different way than the mainstream. If you're looking for a more technical definition, I can tell you neurodiversity is a concept that has gone back many decades and, of course, refers to individuals whose brain wiring is atypical compared to the normative population. And it covers, as we said, like many, many things. It could be autism, it could be ADHD, dyslexia, other learning differences, other thinking differences. And I think it's important to recognize that neurodivergent individuals, these are natural variations rather than quote unquote problems. And to me, that is just an imperative piece of this that everyone has to understand.
Makes sense. And during our conversation today, we'll probably use the term spectrum a lot. And so that will cover from autism through ADHD, dyslexia, all the things we're talking about exist on that spectrum.
Absolutely.
It's interesting having a neurodivergent child that the definition can be so wide sometimes. I've heard people make the argument that everyone is somewhat neurodivergent, which I get it. I mean, I feel my brain works differently than my husband's brain and my children's brain. But is there a usefulness in maybe collapsing the definition a little bit so it doesn't just feel like, well, we're all in the same boat? Because I think for moms who are maybe on the deep side of the boat, it feels a little bit like, okay, your child who is a tiny bit quirky in their music taste is not the same as my child who doesn't have language.
I so completely hear that. And to be honest, Margaret, I kind of see both sides of it.
I do too. I definitely do.
Right? There's one part of it that's like, as you said, we're all neurodivergent. We all diverge in the ways that our brain, that our neurology works.
Right.
And Yes. I mean, I have to say in the past 20 years since I had kids-ish almost, I'm a million years old.
We call it oldie locks on this podcast. So you're just an oldie locks with the rest of us.
I mean, you and me are baskets. We're like going through the forest right now. So yes, I feel like that definition has broadened and broadened and broadened, and the umbrella has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, for some people, for some parents especially, that might feel a little bit lonely because it's like, wait, that corner of the umbrella is as different from my corner of the umbrella as something in a whole other, weather pattern. So it can feel lonely. On the other hand, I do feel like, and I talk to so many parents for Everyone Gets a Juice Box, that I do feel like there is a common thread. I feel like there is a common experience that so many parents go through that, though it is not identical, my experience as a parent is different from your experience and different from truly so many parents' experiences, because our kids all think a little bit differently from each other and from peers and whatever it is. But I bet there's a common ground in there somewhere.
Yeah. And I think in terms of providing help and support, it can be a big tent where kind of tribes find each other. That's what I've found a little bit, that a mom who has a child who doesn't access language or who doesn't walk is on a different side of the tent, maybe with that group of people, but maybe benefiting from everybody's perspective.
Absolutely benefiting from everybody's perspective. And first of all, yes, times a billion to what you just said about finding your tribe and the importance of having other parents. I think we have all learned that the establishments don't always give you exactly what you need. Sometimes give you none of what you need. Sometimes, if you're lucky, give you everything of what you need. But in my experience, and certainly in the experience of the parents I talk to on Everyone Gets a Juice Box, it's the parents, it's that community, that's your tribe. That is what's the most supportive. They're the ones that give you the advice. They're the ones that bond with you. They're the ones that are like, yep, I see you. I get you. You don't need to explain in 10,000 words. You can say 4 words. I know exactly that feeling. So it can be a tremendous support wherever you are in this tent, as you were, as you said, and you find your people. I also think that even if you're at the other end of the tent, you may have had to navigate a situation with a school system, with a neuropsychologist, with a summer camp, with peers, whatever, that though it's not identical, we can all kind of offer insight and tips for everyone under that tent.
One thing that I think is interesting, talking to a range of moms who have kids with, for the period I'll use the term special needs, is that the journey to where you are in the tent can be very complicated and painful. And it can be difficult to talk about, but sometimes it's like you're really wishing to stay on the kind of high functioning, everything's almost okay, and my kid can kind of pass as neurotypical side of the tent. And because of the way these diagnoses often develop, it's always in motion. And there's a kind of fear of embracing the more profound end of the needs. I know for myself, I was very wary of the special needs mom's warrior. And I was sort of like, wait a minute. I'm not sure that's me yet. I'm not sure where this journey is going. And I have a lot of compassion for my former self who was feeling all of those feelings. But it is an interesting dilemma of accessing the right kind of care or the right kind of support when you almost aren't willing to acknowledge that you need it.
And also, I would add to that so often the people around you are not acknowledging that you need it. I mean, the number of parents I've spoken to who have told me that they have said, oh, I think my kid needs support with this, or I'm noticing this about my child, like telling even a teacher or a principal. And peers will say, peers and educators might say, no, it's fine. No, just wait it out. No, they're just this, they're just that. And that input that so many of us get, there's our internal, as you said. I mean, there are certain things, it's like when you read your parenting book, not everything's in the book, not everything's in those parenting guides. And when you're choosing to have children, you don't have all of the information. You don't know what your child is going to be. And so there's that path. And then there's the path of the people that you rely on. And if they're saying, your instinct about what's happening is wrong, or don't pay attention to it, that can be very difficult.
And for people who haven't been through the process, often we have an infant, and infants kind of all are little potato bundles who don't do very many things. And then we have these kind of guideposts of, okay, well, now they're supposed to be sitting up. Now they're supposed to be babbling. Now they're supposed to say first words. But also, you can kind of ignore those things because, like, my dad didn't walk until he's 2, and now he's, the mayor of the city. And the guideposts and the markers, and I think it can kind of feel like pain by 1,000 cuts sometimes of, wait a minute, I thought it was okay but that they weren't sitting up. But wait, they are babbling, but they're not making eye contact. And the morass that you find yourself in, nothing is more important to us than the question of, are our kids okay?
Yeah.
And so we're kind of reading tea leaves constantly about, well, wait a minute, no babbling, but walking is good. Or wait a minute, he didn't crawl and he went right to walking. That's bad. And being stuck in that space. And I think for people listening who have not had that experience, what is your take on that experience of kind of getting a diagnosis, looking for the clues, trying to figure out what's going on?
I mean, that's exactly it. We all have to be detectives, and we are looking for clues. I remember one of my kids spoke very late, and even when you just said, are they babbling in time? I had an immediate visceral reaction to you.
Oh, no babbling, I'm dying.
Because I was like, please don't bring me back to that. Because I remember, and I was in a mom group of like all these new, and their kids are, and my kid wasn't. And I remember asking her pediatrician, asking different things. And it was like, well, it could be she's just talking super late and she's just going to start talking it. And some kids talk a little bit later than others. No biggie, all good. Or she could be nonverbal. You know what I mean? And it's like,
right.
That spectrum it's torture for a parent to not have that crystal ball. Also because frankly, like, you want to, as a parent, you want to intervene or get the, so-called interventions as early as you can. So when the quote unquote experts and the people with all the knowledge and the medical knowledge and neurological knowledge and all of that stuff, when they're like, we don't know, could be this, could be that. Just wait and see. No biggie. Like, go home and have a drink. No big deal. And it's like, no, because this is going to consume my every thought now.
Right. I mean, and everybody has that experience with kids, but neurodivergent kids, just that little bit extra. I am talking to Jessica Shaw. She is the host of the podcast, Everyone Gets a Juice Box, and we'll be right back.
Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING. My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com. So, Jessica, tell me about Everyone Gets a Juice Box, the title, and your journey to starting the podcast.
Well, Everyone Gets a Juice Box is from understood.org, which is an incredible, I'm sure you're familiar with it. I'm sure your listeners are, just like extraordinary resources and other podcasts, though obviously mine is my fave. And it's a show for parents to talk and to, you know, it's not an advice show. It's not a prescriptive show. It's not, and here's your issue, and this is what you need to do.
We say at the end of every episode, we solved our dilemma. So you're not a solved it kind of podcast. You're on a journey.
No, we're not a solved. We're sort of like, you know, you used the tent metaphor earlier, and that's sort of, or the umbrella. I mean, any one of these metaphors, it's a little bit like, come snuggle with me under the umbrella, like come in the tent and just like put your legs up and like sit next to me and let's talk, because guess what? We can talk to each other in a way that's just understanding. We get it. We get each other. I will say my experience has never once been identical to the other parents that I've spoken to. And yet there is such a common ground between all of us that I do feel like I end up learning something every single time I talk to someone. And also it sounds like so cheesy, but it really does fill me with joy that there is a place that a parent can just go just to talk without it being like, do this, do that, da, da, da. Or you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this. Just kind of like, hey, can we just share this experience? Because I know for me at different points and for many parents, it's lonely. Sometimes you don't know who to talk to. Sometimes you go to pick up your kid at elementary school or pre-K or wherever they are, and you're like, oh, I feel really alone because my kid's not acting like those other kids in the school playground or whatever it is. And that is, I find loneliness to be just the most profoundly painful feeling. So with Everyone Gets a Juice Box, we want people to feel less lonely. I mean, I feel less lonely when I talk to people, and I hope other people do as well.
And I think the new understanding around neurodiversity, I know when I first got the diagnosis, I was on the internet basically, like, what is this? And very dire predictions. And again, like, where are we going to end up? It seems like maybe my kid's going to be Bill Gates, just a quirky billionaire, or maybe my kid's going to have very profound issues that affect every aspect of their lives. And I have no idea where I am on this. And then I also think it's become difficult to talk about the struggles of neurodiverse kids because it implies that we want our kids to be different, that we don't love our kids the way that they are, that we are not understanding of their true selves. But that is so unfair to moms. It is challenging and different to have a neurodiverse kid. And the idea that we're not allowed to discuss the challenges of it because it somehow means we're not good moms drives me absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and that it somehow means that we have a big problem with how our kid is.
Right.
And it's like, no, what it needs to be is yes and, yes, there are specific things that a parent of a neurodivergent kid goes through. Okay. And what? That doesn't mean you're a bad parent for acknowledging it. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your kid that you're talking about it. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your relationship, with your community, any of it. It's just yes, and let's talk about it.
And that those experiences are painful. And I think that's where sometimes we feel like we can't go to that place where we say, getting a diagnosis that was different than I thought the path that I was on was painful and was a loss for me. It doesn't mean that my child's life is not worthy or is painful or that my child is the source of my pain. But in the same way that if you got any diagnosis that was with any kid, you would feel that pain. I think with neurodivergence, sometimes I always say that pain is like 1,000 tiny stab wounds. It's never like the big, okay, your child has cancer and it's life or death and we're going to deal with it for this series of months. It's a little bit more tiny pain spread out over a much longer period of time.
Yeah, and it's so unhelpful when there's any kind of external judgment of the way you experience it, the way you as a parent. And yes, I mean, let's just say, like, a lot of it falls on moms, a lot of it falls on women, and how you experience it, the emotions you feel around different things. There's judgment. I mean, listen, like, let's be honest, there is endless judgment about women, about mothers. So it is not surprising on any level that this judgment exists, but it's so utterly toxic.
It really is. And it gets in the way of, I mean, I think dialogue is always the solution in everything. It's why we have a podcast. It's why you have a podcast. Like, yeah. I think talking these things through is always closer to the solution because it helps not only, and I've talked to parents who are extremely well-meaning and they think like, I would love to include your child in our Jumperoo disco birthday party, but I know that all the pieces of Jumperoo disco are horrible for your kiddo. And so I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should invite them and then you're going to feel pressured to come and then it's going to be a nightmare. I don't know if, like helping us all navigate these things together involves an open dialogue about what's actually going on.
Exactly. Because even as you were saying that, I was thinking, yes, then there might be a parent who's like, oh, I don't know if I want to bring this subject up with this other mom, and Jumperoo might not be right for, in hushed tones, might not be right for their kid.
It implies a shamefulness around it when you do it in that way. Yeah.
And it's like, guess what? Give me a call. Text me about Jumperoo. We'll talk. I'm cool with talking about things. And that sort of, I don't know, the wariness sometimes with which other parents can approach it. It's a little bit exhausting. It's like, I know what my needs are. I know what my needs are. I know what my kids' needs are. Like, we can talk about things.
Yeah, it reminds me of someone saying, well, to a cousin of mine, I didn't want to bring up the fact your husband died because I didn't want to remind you. And she's like, yeah, I remember every day. Don't worry about it. Never going to take me by surprise. I think about it pretty much every day. And I think sometimes it is delicate to say, hey, I notice a difference in your child. And again, this is a spectrum. So for some people in the middle of the spectrum or wherever, it might be important to them that people don't notice the difference in there's a reason why these dialogues are complicated, I think.
There is. And I would say, I'm curious here if you've experienced this as well, that when you talk to parents of neurodivergent kids, if there's less of that difficult conversation, like on Everyone Gets a Juice Box, I do feel like, listen, we're in our first season, so it might happen, but I have yet to experience a conversation with another parent that has that hesitant, oh, I don't know if I want to say this. It just feels like, that feeling when you're just talking to someone and it's like, oh, okay, like, thank the Lord, I do not need to have my shoulders tensed right now. And I don't need to make sure someone feels emotionally okay to talk about something. Like, we can just talk to each other.
That's right. I think of a situation that I sent my kid into that was probably over their head. And I thought, well, I think they could probably handle it. And then it was a class, basically, and they had reached out to me and said, this isn't going great. And I said, well, could I send somebody with him every class? And that was the solution, which I probably would have just been better off talking about. I do think for myself, I did struggle a little bit with the denial aspect of it. Like, oh, it's going to prove something about who this kid is if they can do it with no one noticing. And that I look back on as not a mistake. I didn't know any better, but I look back and I think, oh yeah, that was really just me thinking everything would be okay if the kid could pass in this environment.
I'm only going to push back on that a little bit because I feel like what was really going on for you, not to analyze the situation too much, but I feel like what was going on for you in that moment is, I want things to be easy for my kid.
Right.
I feel like cut yourself some slack.
Oh, yes, for sure. For sure.
Like, who among us does not want our kid to have like a sunny, easy path? And that's okay. Like, I hate to hear when a parent turns it on themselves because, oh my gosh, you wanted your kid to have an easy, happy life. Like, is that what passing means?
I think for myself, I definitely don't look back and beat up that older version of myself. But when I'm talking to other parents, if I look at anything, then I'm like, staring the truth down a little bit earlier so that I didn't find myself constantly. Amy has an expression, the pain is in the gap. And I spent too much time in the gap rather than just being like, we're taking the left road when I thought I was taking the right road. I spent so much time trying to be like, this is the right road. Don't look over here. Look, we're still on the right road. And it would have been just, I think, easier on all of us if I had just been like, the left road is also good.
But who was your GPS?
Nobody.
Exactly.
The internet that was like, the left road is the path of doom. And so, yeah, for sure, didn't know better. And I give all of us a ton of grace for the situation. And God bless my kid. They're doing amazing. Like, it's also all worked out really well. I'm really happy. So I definitely don't spend any time beating myself up on that. But it's just that hard thing where this diagnosis is so wide that it's like, well, are you dealing with a kid who's going to need a little extra help on homework or something very different? It's just, and I think that you can get the feeling internally that staying on the quote unquote high functioning side of the tent is the most important part of the story. And you can kind of miss the joys of the middle or the far side of the tent or the opportunities or the help you could be getting to make those places easier if you're busy being like, the only thing I care about is pretending that we belong on this side of the tent.
Yes. And the only way to know about the rest of the 10 is if people talk about it.
Right.
No one wants to go into that space that no one has spoken about. That's scary. That's like a Scream movie. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
No one, like, we don't want to go somewhere that is like the sun doesn't shine. Like the image that's coming into my head is like in The Lion King, where they're, like where Scar hangs out. It's like
where Scar lives. Yep.
Yes, that other area. So when there isn't a conversation, when there isn't a dialogue, when there aren't parents being like, yeah, come hang with me over here. Like, the sun's still shining here. It's very hard to not think that there's one place to be.
Right, exactly. I'm talking to Jessica Shaw. She is the host of Everyone Gets a Juice Box, the podcast, and we will be right back with some of your specific questions.
K-pop Demon Hunters Haja Boys breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel, maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
So we have some questions from our audience that I want to review with you. So starting with a question from our listener, Melanie, via our Facebook page. I'd love you to talk about parenting our young adult neurodiverse children, trying to give them free rein to adult on their own and take some responsibility for themselves and their own lives, being there when needed, but not infantilizing them, finding the balance between helping and enabling. And this is something I feel like when I was raising my kids, everything talked about 3-year-old kids. It was like the only information I could ever find was like 3-year-old kids, early intervention, ABA, like all these different therapies. And then it was like, good luck after that.
Yes. I mean, yeah, like I want to be like, Melanie, like what you got for me, because yes, I agree with you. So much of the conversation out there, and maybe that's because when kids are young, we're scheduling play dates. We're, as you said, we're going to the Jumperoo birthday parties, which by the way, just talk about a fresh hell. Like
life gets better, people, when you do not ever have to go to a trampoline park again. I'm on the other side of it and the water is fine.
It is delightful and amazingly like not pee-filled, like, so
we love it.
We love it. So yes, there is less, infrastructure, it feels like less guidance, I think, for parents of teenagers or tweens or whatever it is. And also like pediatricians are less involved at that point. It's a little bit like you, as a parent, you can feel like you're a little bit on your own. And which is why I think having other parents to talk to is so important. And I think that's frankly a challenge for all parents to be able to.
I was going to say, there's the old expression, you're having a child is like having your heart walk around outside your body, and having a child with any kind of special needs is like that heart feels fragile it's like a glass heart. It feels so much scarier.
Yes.
But I think the best piece of advice I ever got is special needs education, special needs parenting is just parenting with a little bit more work. Like all the techniques that I've used with my kids would be good for all kids. And I think that we talk a lot about optimal push, that like, where is your child the most challenged and still safe, basically? You want to find that optimal push. And I have found for all of my kids, including my neurodivergent kid, that that's the best place they need to be, whether that means walking to the store by themselves, maybe with a note that says, I don't speak, but here's my phone number if I get lost. But, you have to probably put in a little bit more supports, but otherwise we are all struggling with this thing of letting your kids go without hovering.
Yes. I mean, but what better gift to give to your child than to empower them and say, yeah, listen, here are some things you might encounter along the way because of who you are, whatever that means. Here are some things you might encounter along the way, and let me prepare you for them, but you're still going to go on your way. And I think that is so important. It's awareness, it's preparation, it's acknowledging things with your kids, and then saying, you got this, babe.
Yep. And running very granularly, sometimes running scripts with people. What if the guy at the store yells at you? What if you don't have the right amount of money? Do you know that when you give a 20 for a candy bar, you should get about $18 back? I live in New York. Maybe $17 back, but whatever it is.
You get $1.50 back. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. If you're lucky. And I think that's right, that it's the same for all parents. Nobody's ready to be like, here's the keys, kid. Can't wait for you to drive around town. Nobody looks forward to that experience. But I think especially when our kids have neurodivergence, we feel more like, and this is something I've had to work on with my own teen, getting to a place I've realized through some therapy, family therapy, my instinct of this kid needs extra help, extra care, extra reminding, extra correction, that has lasted a little bit too long. And I'm now in the process with teenagers of being like, okay, it's time to step back. And I'm going to let you know, it's killing me on a cellular and bone deep level. But I recognize that it can be much more challenging for kids who we know have some extra points of vulnerability.
Yes, because as we were saying earlier, like you just want your kid to be happy. I mean, right. You just want, regardless of if your kid is neurotypical, neurodivergent, whatever, you know what you don't want your middle school girl to have? Mean girls. You know what I mean? I mean, there are certain things that
called by men at the mall.
Listen, I mean, I talk to my kids about, hey, what happens on the subway if someone, we live in New York City, if someone is staring at you too much? I mean, we need to, as parents, prepare our kids for different scenarios and different, it's sort of like, at this point in our life, like we as parents have seen a lot. We've already been through those learning experiences. We've learned by doing, we've learned by sometimes horrible experiences, and we have some wisdom that we can impart. And maybe it means being a little more meticulous with the wisdom you impart, but that's good.
It's all on the same lane. Exactly.
Yes.
Let's talk about traveling as a family with a neurodivergent member. I think, again, the pain is in the gap. Sometimes it feels like, oh, what are you guys doing for spring break? Oh, we're going here, we're going there, we're visiting this, we're going to this. And for a parent who's thinking, I can never get on a plane with my child.
Yeah.
What kind of conversations have you had around traveling?
It's like, I can never get on a plane, or what if there are meltdowns at a hotel property, or is this going to be relaxing on any level? Do I need to program this vacation within an inch of its life? At what point does it become a vacation, or does
never. It reminds me of the Onion headline, "Mother does all chores closer to the ocean." And it's like, there's already that going on for every parent, but with extra challenges comes extra problems.
Yes. That's right. I mean, it's sort of like there's no, but you know what? Here's what you need to do. And your vacation's going to be awesome. Your trip's going to be great, because that doesn't exist. I mean, sometimes, yes, it means catering your trip a little more toward what one of your children or all of your children or you or yourself, whatever, what you might need, so that the infrastructure is there to make it safe and happy. Sometimes that means that maybe another kid isn't getting the exact trip they want. And, so it's important to sort of figure out that push and pull and that balance, so that by the time you get off a plane and you walk into your door of your home, you're not like, get me away from this family.
Well, you might be anyway, but just for different reasons.
Yes. I always say, like, parenting is TGIM. Thank God it's Monday,
Exactly. Exactly. Back you go. When we say what fresh hell, it's sort of the same thing. One other thing that I've found, especially, this has changed so much since my kids were little. If you go to an airport, a museum, a zoo, and you go right to the front desk and you say, do you have accommodations for neurodiverse kids? I've been amazed. I've been handed bags with headphones, emotion stickers that go, and at the zoo, they'll have, these are the smelliest animals. Like all these, I feel like organizations have gotten much better at saying, you know, the monkey house may be not for everybody. It's loud, it stinks, it's dark. That doesn't mean famous expression with autism and neurodiversity. If you've met one kid with autism, you've met one kid with autism. Some kids may be like, I'm living in the monkey house. I got to be here all day.
Yeah.
But I think that, again, this disclosure piece and this putting up front what your kids' needs are in any given situation, you get a lot of mileage from that.
That's honestly wonderful to hear. That hasn't always been my experience.
No, and it's not everywhere, but I've made a habit now of asking, and I've been, and sometimes people say, I don't know, and they go get the manager and they're like, oh yeah, we do have something here in the back. And sometimes it's a piece of paper that says, let us know if you need to leave. Or sometimes there's exits halfway through the museum if you don't want to come back to the front. It's just different information. I think places are getting better at that.
That's wonderful. I mean, the fact that and even if it's like, hey, heads up, there's an exit, you're not meeting someone with a blank face of like, I don't know, I've never heard of this before. You know, so that's wonderful. By the way, it should be a given at so many spaces.
And I think the more you ask for accommodations, we've talked about people from everything from people in larger sized bodies to people with different kids with different needs. The more people who ask for accommodations, the more likely places are to start providing accommodations. And so, again, taking out that piece where it's like, my kid doesn't even really belong here and they're going to be a problem and they're this, and coming at it from a point of view of me and my wonderful kid want to access your services. How can we do that most effectively?
Yes. And as you said, the more times that we as parents raise something and say, hey, here's what I need, and there are going to be other kids also that need this. Guess what? At a staff meeting a week later, they're going to be like, you know what?
Some weird lady came up and asked if we had headphones. What's that about? And someone's going to be like, oh, that's a sensory kid.
Yes. And then someone else is going to be like, oh, that's so funny. Another parent asked me about that 2 weeks ago. And then all of a sudden it's part of the fabric of running a place or providing options to kids. And that's great, which sort of goes back to like just speaking up and talking and not feeling like I can't talk about this, or feeling shame, or feeling, oh, I wish X, Y, or Z. It's like, hey, let's talk. Let's make this awesome.
And not everybody, but I think most people come from a place of wanting to include more people, but they don't have the information and they feel like asking the questions might be wrong.
Yes, that tiptoeing around. And so, yes, the more you walk up to the zoo, you know, the person you're like, hey, do you have this? This might be helpful, da-da-da. There's less of the person being like, oh, I don't know. What do I say now? I don't know what to say, you know?
Right.
And it's like, we can talk about this.
We have these things called mouths and we are going to chat this out.
Yeah.
Jessica, there's so much we didn't get to today that I'm sure you cover on your podcast, things like supporting teens through their education, the family system. Tell everybody where they can find you, your work, and your podcast.
They can find Everyone Gets a Juice Box at understood.org, where they can also find tons of other podcasts and truly gazillions of, and that is an actual number, of resources. Obviously, my podcast is my favorite of them.
We've established the best one is Jessica's, but there's lots of, she sets the bar so high that even the other ones are still amazing.
I mean, so I know. I feel like as a fan, I listen to other ones too. So, but it's an incredible place. So you can listen wherever you listen to your podcasts. But I really would encourage all parents to go to understood.org because it is, as you know, as I know, it's just an incredible resource.
Absolutely. And I'll underscore that sometimes people are like, well, this isn't the category for me, but you'd be amazed what you can learn by talking to special needs educators, special needs experts,
special needs parents
talking about, I have kids across the range of neurodiversity. And the more I learned about neurodiversity, the better parent I became to all my kids. That's what I'll say. So
the better parent, the better educator, the better zoo manager. I mean, come on.
I am ready. Bronx Zoo, look out. I'm taking over. Jessica, thanks so much. This was a great conversation.
Thank you.
You can't reason with the sun. Trust us, we've tried. This summer, it's time to put that angry ball of fire on mute. Columbia's Omni-Shade technology is engineered to protect you from the sun's harsh rays that can burn and damage your skin. The sun is relentless, but so is our gear. Level up your summer at Columbia.com to spend more time outside and less time slathering on aloe lotion. You're welcome. Columbia, engineered for whatever.